call to order this September 10th, 2024. This is meeting 2 of the Selma Town Council. We've got a not too hefty agenda, but a very awesome agenda here this evening. A lot of cool things to look at and talk about this evening. But first, before we get into the actual agenda, we have some very special guests with us this evening. And to start us off for an invocation, I'm going to ask Pastor Glenn Raven of Temple City Church to come on up to the microphone and lead us in an invocation. Let's give him a hand. Hey, if everybody would please stand.
Thank you. Gracious God, as we come before you today, we ask for your guidance. We ask for your wisdom. You are the source of all knowledge and understanding. Therefore, we seek you for directions. Scriptures tell us to trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways to acknowledge you, and you will make our path straight. We trust that you will guide us on this path and lead us to reach a consensus in everything that we do. We know that you are defined by unity and love. May our words and actions be guided by your love and your grace. It is these prayers that we ask in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. And Pastor, if you would take a moment and tell us about your church, where it's located, and any other thing that you'd like to tell all the folks that are watching today.
Yes. I am Pastor Glenn Raven. I am the family life pastor at Temple City Church, right down the street at 1250 South Pollock Street. My lead pastor is Pastor Rodney Pierce, and we are active participants in the community. We believe in outreach. We believe in what the scriptures tell us to be salt and light in the community. So we believe at Temple City Church that Christianity and that service goes beyond the four walls. And we believe in reaching people right where they are, meeting people where they are. The only time we look down on people is when we're bending over to pick them up.
Amen. And we have another couple of special guests with us here today. To lead us in our pledge, we have Miss Ashlyn West. How are you? Ashlyn's one of my neighbors around the corner here, one of my buddies right here, hangs out with her brother Connor. Where's Connor? Hey, Connor's putting in work right now, so he's not here with us today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm in 7th grade.
7th grade, and I see this fantastic outfit. So what is that outfit?
Girl Scouts.
We've got a Girl Scout here, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, if you would, everybody face the flag, and I'm going to let you lead us and start off with the pledge whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Fantastic work. Now, this fantastic outfit here, I've got an important question for you. When do the cookie sales start up?
January.
January, folks. You heard it right here. Cookies are coming, okay? Thank you so much. All right. And that leads us into the approval of the agenda that we have before us this evening. I do know that we have a few adjustments that need to be made before we get into this thing. So to start, I believe we will be removing 9A. 9A, the way that historic districts go we have to wait for information from the state of North Carolina about this particular property before we can take action on that particular item related to 110 South Green Street. So we're gonna be taking that off. I know that we need to come down to, go up to business items as well and add an actual finance resolution to 8A. Can somebody give me the title of that resolution?
Yeah.
We've got a sewer AI.
Sewer resolution to apply for the next round.
Okay, so a sewer AIA resolution to apply for the next round of funding. So that'll be added as part of the list of 8A. And then I believe we mentioned at our last meeting that I will add the request from Walker's Treasure Box onto the mayor's report and recommendations at 12. Were there any other items that needed adjusting, subtracting, adding? Let's make that correction. We will table 9A. We will not remove it, so it'll be tabled until next month. So what we'll do is we'll open up the public hearing, table it, and then go back into it for the next month. All right, so we're gonna keep it on there. That'll work. That works even better. So that will not be a removal. That will stay on there as is, but we do intend to table it. Okay. Do we have anything else? All right, council, with that, I believe we have an amended agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that amended agenda for this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's see. We'll give that first to Councilwoman Watson. We'll give that second to Councilwoman Whitley. All those in favor?
Aye.
An agenda. Nothing for the consent agenda this evening, but we do have a few folks that would like to chat with us as part of Open Forum Citizens Requests. So with that being said, the first on the list, we've got Maritza Rosado, our esteemed principal from Selma Elementary School. Yeah, you can give her a hand. She's a rock star. Oh, yeah. Come on up, if you would, your home address and name for the record.
My home address is 252 Mallard Loop Drive, Clayton, North Carolina. But my second address is 311 Richardson Street.
That's right.
Most of my life there. Good evening, distinguished town council members, Mayor McAllister. I'm here today to bring you good news about Selma Elementary. As many of you might know, North Carolina released data, school performance data last week. And I wanted to share with you that our school ranked in the top 15% at the state level in student growth. That means that we have grown a student in 1 year. If they were behind 1 year, we got them at the grade level. And if they're behind 2 years, we advanced them a year. But it's a tremendous achievement when North Carolina has about 2,800 schools. We were ranking in that top 15%, about 322 was our number. So it's a great achievement because that also took us out of the low performing list. We were on the low performing list, and that means that, again, we don't have that label. We're showing growth, demonstrated that our students could do it. And we're very close to achieving that C. We missed it by 2 points, but this is the year we ended up at a 53, which we needed 55. But we're continuing to do the hard work that it takes to get a school to excellence. I wanted to respectfully request from the town council the use of the civic center. We want to celebrate our teachers. We want to have like a dinner, kind of like a gala for them. We kind of focus a lot on giving them cookies, which is very appreciated. We love cookies, but we wanted to do something where they get recognized individually for the growth they accomplish for each grade level. We want to work on the climate of our school so we retain our teachers. We have invested, we have a number of international teachers, and we have invested a lot of time preparing them and getting them to where they need to be to get accustomed to North Carolina, to the curriculum. We want to keep them. So I respectfully would like you to consider my request, and thank you.
We gotta vote. Do you have a date?
Yes, Principal Rosado.
Do you have a date?
Oh, we don't yet, we're at your mercy, but I know I have some dates in mind.
Okay. Around the end of this year, next year?
Yes, oh, yes, it would be, I'm sorry, it would be, we're thinking October, maybe in October,
Okay.
or, early November, but the quarter ends, in October, and we wanna have the momentum, we wanna celebrate and not let it, cause everybody's very hyped up about it, hey, we did it, we're doing this, so we just wanna keep that going, so October would be an ideal month, and I could share some dates tomorrow if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Can you also check with staff to see the availability of the Civic Center during your time?
I'm sorry,
Check with the staff on the availability, see if it's gonna be open.
are the civic,
Oh, so
sorry,
we'll get in touch with you and make sure staff gives you
Right.
some dates as we.
oh, the staff, yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And what we'll do, I wouldn't necessarily say let's take a vote or have a discussion about that right now, but as part of reports and recommendations, if anybody wants to make some type of recommendation related to that, by all means do, or I will take it up just the same and we can discuss at that point, and we will let you know.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Bob DeYoung, you in the audience? There he is, right up front, my man. Home address, name for the record?
421 Bennett Drive, Selma, North Carolina. Name is Bob DeYoung. I wanted to address the board and the community at large. I don't consider myself really new to Selma anymore. I've been here too long, I guess, but it seems like this summer we've had a spat of power outages. You know, lightning strikes, cars hit poles, squirrels get in places they're not supposed to get, on and on it goes. And I wanted to thank all of our civil servants here in Selma, from the mayor, council on down. We don't always agree on things necessarily, but I think most people are doing the very best that they can. As being a civil servant myself for my whole career, I know how difficult it can be, for sure. But I wanted to call out in particular the electric company. I've been under several different utility companies in my lifetime, and I can assure you that when our power went out, I'd better make sure that my generator had gas. I've now lived here in Selma 6 or 7 years, and one of the first things I did when I got here, based on life experiences, and I heard about all the hurricanes and oh my, it was all kinds of things were gonna happen. I went out, bought my generator. You know how often it's run? Twice a year when I fire it up to make sure the thing works right. Have we had power outages? Yes, but as long as it doesn't stay out so long that my freezer's getting too warm or something like that, you know, not too worried about it. And I haven't fired the generator up yet. Yes, it's been out for a few hours. Yes, the house started to get a little bit hot, but my generator wouldn't run my air conditioner anyway, but that's beside the point. But I just wanted to let people know that when you get frustrated, they're doing the best they can. And I have been very impressed with, in general, how quickly power gets on. That's all for the electric company, I guess. The other thing I was gonna mention is it's, again, showing the efficiency of our civil servants here in town. I was gonna do a little bit of a gripe about the flags, especially kind of going out of town, going down towards the train station, stuff like that. They were getting pretty tapped. And that kind of bothered me a little bit. I thought, you know, I understand all this stuff costs money, you got budgets, et cetera, but at least let's take it down, because they're looking really bad. Well, they're down, and I didn't even get to talk about it. So, I don't know if they're being replaced, but they're at least down, so
Mr. DeYoung, I
I
can
don't have any
comment on that.
complaint.
George Shook of Electric mentioned to me a few weeks ago, he said, these flags have gotten too tattered. We're gonna have to get on a regular schedule to keep flags new and ordered regularly. He's already on that conversation.
All right.
I love it.
See, you didn't need me at all.
Electric again, killing it.
All right, thank you, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then we've got Mrs. Debbie Howard. Mrs. Debbie Howard, yes, yes, yes. Just name and home address for the record, and then we'll talk about it.
Debbie Howard, 221 Westwood Long Drive, Smithfield. I am here to request on behalf of one of my sellers. They own the property at 617 Ray Street, Mr. and Mrs. Sampadale. We are actually closing that property day after tomorrow. They have had right many fines from Selma, and something has, there have been situations where they were not even allowed to get on the property to clean the property up. But I do have a letter from the general contractor. As soon as we close on it Thursday, they are removing all the property there and building a new house on it. I've got this for your record, so hopefully we can get those fines waived. Can I hand this to you?
We'll hand it over to the clerk here, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions?
And for full transparency, you did email this probably a few weeks ago, and the council has been made aware.
Okay.
I think we'll have a brief discussion as part of closed session this evening as far as that actual, to consult with our attorney about the actual needs of what needs to be done there.
Okay.
But I do think that is a favorable request as far as this council is concerned. I can't make any promises yet. We gotta make sure we take the proper steps, but I
You'll
think
just
it's
let me
fair.
know.
Yeah, hey, the point of these fines and code enforcement isn't punitive. The point is to make this town look better and be better, and that's a giant
And
step in the right
and
direction.
this will.
Yes,
So,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. We'll give her a hand too. Yes, sir. I hear you. Yes, yes. All right, so that brings us into. Oh, man, look, Commissioner Godwin, you know there's no way I can say no. Come on up. Our county commissioner, Ted Godwin, is here.
Ted Godwin, 395 Hawkins Road, Selby,
Yes, yes.
and Johnson County Courthouse, Smithfield. I bring you greetings from the Board of Commissioners. I didn't get a chance, they picked up the list before I could sign up. At our regular September 3rd meeting, we adopted a resolution in support of the Green Light Initiative for Veterans. And I just wanted to urge the town and all the businesses and citizens in the town to maybe get on board with this, beginning October 1st through Veterans Day, which is Monday, November the 11th. We urge all citizens to display a green light. Maybe at my house, it's on my front porch. But in your window, we're gonna have it at the courthouse, maybe at the town hall, just in support of veterans. It's something that started in New York, now it's a nationwide initiative promoted by the American Legion and other service organizations. But I would just encourage all the municipalities in Johnson County to get on board the Green Light Initiative.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank
Staff,
you.
is that something we can make happen?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, and before I close it up, do we have anybody else who'd like to speak as part of open forum citizens request? We've got that opportunity right now, if anybody's interested. All right, going once. Going, ooh, there we go. Come on up, name and address for the record. Very well.
Doing everybody. Y'all don't know who I am. It's a whole new crew. That's what's up. Anyway, my name is. I'm a comedian. I'm sorry. Just came back from VA hospital. Took a little bit of meds. Anyway, my name is Tyrese Powell. You should know who I am. I'm the owner of 106 South Green Street. I don't know who made the approval to remove the trees. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for removing those trees. That was a big help for me and also for my family that comes over and make the property look a whole lot better. And I'm also, doing things to make it better. And I'm quite sure we just had a little on 110. So I'm quite sure you're familiar with that. I won't go into that, sir. but I just want to say thank you so much. You're one of the mayors since Philadelphia to actually come out and make sure that we the people are good. You know, I just want to say thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you all.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you. And I gotta give credit where credit's due. That's another flower for the electric department with those trees. So, rock on. Rock on. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Powell. Thank you very much. So, with that, anybody else for open forum citizens requests? Going once, going twice. All right, that brings us into a very important day today. We have a fire department pinning promotion for the town of Selma. Very excited about that, Chief. Take it away.
Good evening, council. Just good evening, council, mayor. Appreciate y'all's time. We'll be brief. I do want to tell a little something before we get into the serious part. About, I don't know, a year and a half or so ago, this gentleman right here, Chris Salter with the awesome mustache, he called me, and I used to work with him. I worked with him in Marshfield, early 2000s for a long time. We had an awesome partnership and wrote the best fire engine I've ever been on as far as people. But he called me and he said, now think about when I told you this was. He says, my son may be interested in applying with Selma. I'm like, what's he, 15? Because the last time I saw him, he was, 6, 7 years old. But he said, no, he's 25. So I said, bring him on. So anyway, we brought him in a few years ago. But the Selma Fire Department is proud to announce the promotion of Jordan Salter to engineer. An engineer is the backbone of an engine company. This position is directly responsible for the safety of the crew and the citizens wheeling around town a 40,000-pound vehicle every single call we run, even the small ones. His task is the same. That's what I've always loved about being an engineer. That was my favorite spot when I was with Marshfield. This position immediately when it starts training for the next step in leading this department. From complicated math equations and pre-dawn hours to bringing tools to serve many different crews at once to maintain an apparatus every day. This is the reason those trucks shine every day, is engineers' positions. An engineer is the quiet guy in the back, taking no credit for the self, but basking in being an intricate part of a well-oiled machine. Now I'm gonna ask longtime firefighter and current battalion chief of the Marshfield Fire Department to come forward and pin your son. Yeah. Sir. Jordan Salter, you are officially promoted to the rank of firefighter, from firefighter to fire engineer. You can poke him, sorry.
Great job.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
That's beautiful. She's so cute. Nikki, the photograph from the back is even more beautiful. She had her daddy's back.
Absolutely amazing. Amazing fire department, amazing electric, amazing town departments, amazing people. Town of Selma. With that, let's talk about some more amazing people. We've got a presentation, a conversation to have with Hope Center and discuss the course completion, Hope Center course completion of Mr. Alex Jones. So whoever would like to come up and take away that conversation.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, thank you all for giving us this opportunity. I'm Mark Hall, I live at 1013 Brown Sterry Road in Selma. And it's great to be home tonight, sharing about what's happening with the organization that I'm with. It's called Hope Center Ministries. We're a 17-year-old ministry. We have 53 centers across the country, and these are 12-month residential recovery centers where men and women can rebuild their lives. And been working for Hope Center for a while, but we haven't had these centers here in Johnston County. This is what I'm excited about. The 3 centers we have in North Carolina are just across the Wayne County line in Wayne County in what's called John Wayne territory. It's not Johnston County, it's not Wayne County, it's right there in between. But we are opening 3 centers here in Johnston County over the next 3 years. We've been blessed in a lot of ways through the support from Johnston County, support from right here in the town of Selma. And the developers of Adventure over here, the Eastfields Complex, they've donated some property for us, and we're gonna build a Hope Center there. That'll be a Hope Center for men. You know, our men and women, when they go through this program, it's all about rebuilding their lives, and a big part of rebuilding their lives is a lot of things. Obviously, our prayer is a foundation and a belief in Jesus Christ. However, what I try to work on, and I hope they experience Christ through it, is helping them rebuild their lives with employment, with jobs, with getting court things taken care of, with getting driver's license, and rebuilding their lives where they can be productive and they can be members of the community. It's happening. As of last Friday, I think we had about 55 men and women who were either graduates or current residents that are employed by Johnston County companies, like some right here in Selma, such as the Guy C. Lee Doors plant right down the road. Shelco over by the Pottery employs people. Stevens Sausage, we make up about half of their workforce over there. And I'm just very thankful to come into Selma. But one of the things that Mr. Mayor and I have got to know each other the last couple of years. We had some wonderful conversations. And there's a young man that we want to recognize tonight. And he's from Selma. He's one of us. His kids have played on the soccer fields. My grandkids played soccer with him. I think the mayor here was a coach for him. And it's about the community. And I want to recognize Alex, because this is not an easy program. You choose to come live in the house, and yes, we have rules, we have guidelines. The day starts at 4:45, and you're going to be productive while you're there. But I'm thankful to say that Alex is here. He's with his family tonight. He's employed here in Selma with Guy C. Lee. I understand you have your vehicle now, you have your car, and he went to the court today, and I think Kelvin Gurley, my recovery pastor, will share a little bit about that. They're living up to what they're intended to be. And I just thank you, Selma, for being part of this. Our men and women have been in this community, and I pray that you'll continue to see it. And the purpose of it is to serve our communities. And so in the next couple of years, I pray that you hear a lot about us and its good things and all. But Kelvin, this is my recovery pastor. If he'll share a few things, and Alex, we're proud of you. Okay. And thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you so much for allowing us the privilege of being before you here this evening to celebrate such an accomplishment. Alex, as we call him, when he came into the program a year ago, as is often the case, he was dealing with many different issues that had stemmed from abuse and from things that had attached itself to him through that abuse. But he has had those hurdles removed now. He is no longer on probation. He now has greater access to his children to rebuild his family and rebuild his life. He has a home and maintains a dwelling, has sustainable income, and we are just very proud of all that he has accomplished. He has been a model resident while he was in Hope Center. And if you take anybody's life over the course of 12 months, it's difficult to be a model anything. But he has most certainly done a wonderful job. He has put in the work that was necessary. A lot of people say they want things, but they're not willing to do what it takes to have them. But he he actually put the work in and he's reaping the benefit from it. And we're just very proud of Alex. And we would like to present him with his certificate of completion this evening. Alex?
Yeah. Oh, my man AJ.
Have a word.
Let's get him the microphone. Let's get AJ the microphone.
When my father was in the program, he before he was in the program, he was having problems, and he was a drug addict. But now he is a 1 year clean, and I am proud of him for that.
Thank you all. I appreciate this opportunity, and I share with people, if Mark Hall doesn't experience an emotional moment every day, it's because I'm not paying attention. It's good stuff happening. We've had over 700 men and women walk through the doors of the North Carolina Hope Centers, and I'm very thankful for the town of Selma and this community for accepting us. And my prayer is over the next years and the generations will become part of service here in the community. We try to give back a lot. Our men and women are involved with Civitans, Parks and Recs departments and things. And Mr. Mayor, we've talked about it before. We need to give back also to the community. So thank y'all very much. And I got one more request. I'm referred to as the granddad of Hope Center. I'd love to get a picture of Alex and his children with you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
And the town council.
Absolutely. Town council, you want to come around?
Thank y'all very much. Pray this is just the beginning for here. Yes, you can.
While we're getting situated, I've known this family for a long time. AJ Paisley, my man, Miss Carol. It's amazing to see the change, to be honest with you. It's amazing to see the progress, and I hope it's a story that we see repeated over and over in the town of Selma. So thank you. Thank you, thank you.
If you don't mind, that'd be good. We'll get your grandfather. There you go.
You gonna sit down?
Thank you.
No, no, no.
Ready? Oh, there's the same. 3, 2, 1. Got it.
Thank you.
We'll do it again.
Thank y'all. Very much. Mayor, thank you. Thank y'all.
Congrats.
It's on the phone, and it's some people. Thank y'all. That's how it's supposed to work.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Councilman, you got some words for us?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I remember, I think it was about a year and a half ago, out at the farm, got a presentation from these guys. And he was out of just Goldsboro then. They were looking for a place to do some more homes around. And to see him here tonight, it brought back memories, like I said, a year and a half ago, probably. when he
Year and a
done it.
half? Yeah.
I was just telling Mark that about how wonderful that was when we went to the farm to hear that presentation. It was very memorable.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. And now we get into the boring stuff. So first, business items, we have a few finance resolutions to look at. Who wants to take that away for us?
They're very, very simple. These are projects that, the first two projects y'all already looked at, this was just bid. Actually, both these bids, both these came in under bid, which is a rarity these days. So the first one's for the, Ratwoods, lift station relocation, and that includes, upgrade
see here, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution related to the Brack Wilson Pump Station relocation project?
So moved.
All right, we'll give a first to Councilman Overby, second to Councilman Watson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. What do we have next?
The second one is, it's a replacement system improvement, basically, I can't put my finger on it. This is a large dollar cost thing. This one also came in bid, and, the CFO that y'all met last month has done a lot of work, so since these came in bid, and gonna tell the girl, since they came under bid, this is a lump. So she did a lot of quick work to get LDC to allow it, hopefully be able to use the rest of this. Just let that low interest go away, since it's coming.
Stretching that money, yeah.
Trying to stretch.
Okay.
So this loan is about 3.1 million, 500% principal forgiveness, that's 5% interest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, with that, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution for the sewer collection system improvements project?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and number 3.
The next one is, if you remember about 2.5 years ago, we went through this process, so it's been about 4 years of data. AIA or asset inventory assessment. What came out of that study was that we try to do that every 3 or 4 years, to keep up with the growth. And I just give you an example why that's important. By the time, if we were awarded this, by the time we got that, we'll have 5 new lift stations in place. So, pretty much making our 3-year-old obsolete. So this is funding, this is the resolution to allow us to apply for the second round of AIA.
Well, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution to apply for second round of sewer asset inventory assessment?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Very cool, very cool. And let me just say, this is a reminder of the ongoing work that is occurring to not only catch us up to where we need to be with our infrastructure, but get us ahead of where we need to be with our infrastructure. Fantastic work, staff. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I believe next we have a agreement to look at. Anybody want to tell us about that? JCC? Oh, no, you're good.
So, if we kind of keep this thing around for a while, JCC agreement, we sent it back to, Hewitt. He looked at the, opt-out and the, negligence stuff, got that like we wanted it, and they agreed to that. Most everything else in the agreement is, the same as it was last year. They have already signed and ready to go with y'all. I do know Mr. Obi had a couple questions I think he wanted to raise, but, we're pleased with the project at hand.
I'm good.
You good to go?
I'm good. I went back and had a conversation with you.
Fantastic. And I want to thank staff for really taking a very close look at this and making sure that the town of Selma got the best agreement for the town of Selma. With that being said, do I have a motion to approve this agreement with JCC Basketball for this multi-year agreement on this 10th day of September 2020?
Second.
Second. Go ahead.
We'll give that to Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We got an agreement for some awesome basketball at Harrison.
It's a good thing.
It is a great thing. Yes, ma'am. And that brings us into public hearings and appeals. So starting off this hearing related to 110 South Granny Street, just for full disclosure, we do know that we're going to open up this public hearing and then we're going to seek to table it so that we can bring it back when we're ready with the appropriate information from the state. So with that being said, does anybody want to give us a brief overview of what this is related to, and then we'll jump into the public hearing?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this item is in regards to property 110 South Green Street. as it is in the Selma West Historic, or West Selma Historic District. The specific action is to remove the property from the historic district. There were a number of unpermitted changes to the structure over the past handful of years. Staff deems it's, lost some historical integrity. We've reached out to the, it's a heck of an acronym, the NCR, North Carolina Historic Department, the Natural and Cultural Resources. They've said that there's a little bit more to the process. Can't just snap our fingers and take them out of the district. This all spurred from talking with the applicant, trying to work with them. The house is an older house, and they've run into some issues wanting to make repairs, make changes, but having to wait for the certificate of appropriateness from the Appearance Commission. Kind of impeded some of that speed of the process they were looking to do these changes. So that's why they wanted to be removed from the district. It went before the Appearance Commission, and they recommended it be removed. The Planning Board also recommended it, and now it's made its way to you guys. Like I said, we recently found out that there's another step involves more information we need to get from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources for their historic properties.
So what we'll do is we'll open the public hearing, and knowing that we've got a little more to do, we'll go ahead and also work on not suspending. Tabling. Ooh, thank you. And then we'll go from there. So with that, do I have a motion to open this legislative hearing related to 110 South Green Street?
So moved.
First, second, Councilwoman Whitley. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, for those of us who've grown up here, this is the Kincheloe house. And you might not have looked at it, know which house we're talking about, but it has undergone a lot of changes. Spent a lot of time there in my youth.
And after we open the public hearing, we'll add that to the public hearing to make sure it's part of the records as well. So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open. So, and for the record, what was the name of that house?
Kincheloe.
Kincheloe House.
Dr. Kincheloe lived there.
So we are referencing the Dr. Kincheloe House. But since we do not have the proper information on hand, do I have a motion to table this legislative hearing until our meeting 2? Do you want to do that? Meeting 2 in October.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're tabling that. All right, we're gonna move right along to public hearing related to 710 East Anderson. Just a little brief overview there, and we'll rock from there.
Yes, sir. So item 9B is a zoning map amendment for 710 East Anderson Street. If you remember, recently, a few months ago, we did a street closure of an Ada Street. This is that same property. This property had a handful of things going on with it, but we're trying to get it squared away for the applicants there. But if you'll note, here on GIS, you'll see that the property is both blue and red. The blue area is the I-2 heavy industrial district, and the red area there on the southeastern corner is the general business zone. The applicant is seeking to rezone the whole property into I-2. I took some measurements. 2/3 of the property is already I-2. I'm not sure how it wound up at this point where you have a section of it that was general business, but that's how the property is. The applicant does have intents to use this property for industrial use, but we are here just to reference the rezoning. You'll see in the staff report that this property does fall in harmony with the future land use plan, being next to what was planned out to be industrial side of town anyways. Excuse me. And Dalton, do you have the site plan?
Well, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get into opening the hearing for this, and then any other information we'll have, we'll put it as part of the public hearing. All right, so do I have a motion to open this legislative hearing related to this amendment of our ordinance for zoning of this property?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we said we had a map related to that.
Yes, sir.
So we'll take a look at that and make sure we make that part of the public record.
So this is a preliminary site plan submitted by the applicant. Dalton, if you'll scroll down. The area in question that still remains general business, again, is that southeastern corner of the property there. As it stands right now, no intent of using that section of the property. But again, with it being their parcel, if in the future they do want to use that section of the property, they can. All that's currently there now is trees, and I believe they have intentions on keeping the trees there as a buffer anyways. But just for continuity's sake, they want to, again, make the property one whole contiguous zone.
And just for reference, this area is if you're coming into town off of 95 down Anderson Street, it's right near the first set of railroad tracks that you would cross over as you're coming into town. Okay.
Right there near Daybreak Express.
So, all right. Is there any other information that you'd like to add to this as part of the public hearing? Just a basic rezoning of that piece to make it a contiguous I-2 on that parcel. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do we need any more information as part of the public hearing?
Legislative.
Sounds good. With that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, now we have to take a look and see if we are interested in rezoning that portion of general business for that parcel to I-2 to match the rest of the parcel. With that, do I have a motion to make that amendment to our ordinance to rezone that entire parcel to be I-2?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We've got ourselves a rezoning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, what do we have up next?
All right. Up next, 9C, we have another potential map amendment, so legislative hearing, for a 2093 Lizzie Mill Road. There's a correction there. It says 2090 when it should say 2093. So back in June, a father and son duo came into the office looking to potentially develop their property. It's a 16, roughly 17-acre property on North Lizzie Mill Road. And they are looking to rezone it, do a general rezoning from R20 to TR, transitional residential, with the intent of building townhomes. Brief overview there.
All right, well, with that, I believe this is a legislative hearing as well.
Yes, sir.
We'll go into a public hearing for that. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing related to this rezoning application request?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we got a public hearing here. If we throw a little more information in there for us for reference for the public hearing.
So most of the tract currently is undeveloped lands, woods, some fallow fields. Currently, there are 2 conforming residences on the northern side of the property. If it were to be rezoned, those existing structures would still be conforming. The applicant is aware of the process it would take to get townhomes there. The property is large enough, it meets the 4-acre minimum requirement if it were to be rezoned to have townhomes built on the property. No site plan was submitted. Just wanted to see where this would go.
Okay.
So,
Yes, sir.
Was that the piece of land that got one put the junk cars on?
No, that's a different piece. That's a different piece. Oh.
Renewal is out Lizzie Mill Road. It's just past that. I think on both sides of the road.
I believe, I guess for reference, the Talton Mobile Home Park, it's just beyond.
yes, sir. Yep, it's right there next to it. Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Very good. Do we have anybody else who'd like to speak as part of the public hearing? Come on up, name and address for the record.
Jennifer Edwards, Brown Wall Road, Selma, North Carolina. As most of you know, I'm a member of the ETJ, This property is probably a half a mile from my home. I do have property that I own that backs up to the railroad on the opposite side of the railroad track to this property. I also, when I worked with Selma years ago with the planning board, I worked with the land use plan, and the idea of moving property from R20 to TR does not conform with the land use plan that we had in mind at that time. It is a terrific jump to go from residential agricultural to TR. We have seen some property in Selma go from R10 to TR, but from R20 residential agricultural to TR just does not make much sense to me. In fact, I think it opens up all of the ETJ farmland and agricultural use into people, of course, wanting to get the most out of their money for their property, and I understand that. But then that destroys the concept of the RA community. I do not think the Lizzie Mill is equipped to handle that type of traffic. It is still a very rural road, very low shoulders, no interchange there at 95. I see the potential for just tremendous problems. We already have problems there with drug issues coming off that road. They use my road as a cut through. We've of course made complaints, but it's very hard to stop. I just cannot see that happening. It's like standing in front of a staircase and you're jumping from the bottom way up to the top instead of gradually going up from R20 to R10 to R8 to TR. I just don't see that as being conforming with the land use plan we sat down and studied and had in mind years ago for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak as part of the public hearing?
Those are all very good points. It also is worth noting that the planning board did not recommend this project. We have the consistency statements made, but they are just not yet signed by Chairman Holmes. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else as part of the public hearing?
And I also add that part of it is in a watershed.
Add to that, part of it is in a watershed. Anything else? All right, with that, do I have a motion to close the public hearing related to this request?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're out of a public hearing. We have heard the information related to this parcel. And frankly, as mentioned, this is not consistent with our future land use plan. And our overall outline goals as a council, quite frankly, is to keep that northern portion of Selma rural. And that would be quite the leap from rural to certainly a more urbanized corridor. With that, do I have a motion to deny the rezoning request?
So moved. Second.
Get that second.
Give it a
Pro Tem.
joke.
Okay, good deal. Any discussion there? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate you. And then we've got one more? Yes, sir. What do we got?
All right, item 9D. It's a special use permit for a River Oak townhomes.
All right, now this is, Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, quasi judicial?
It is,
Special use
so,
permit.
if you wanna go ahead, Mayor, and let's get some people sworn,
Yes, sir.
okay?
By all means.
Alright, you got it.
Yes, sir. Perfect.
And this would be anybody wanting to testify, offer evidence as to the special use permit, so we've got two people, this be it. All right, just right hand is fine. Gentlemen, the testimony that you would give the council will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, you can swear or affirm to them. We do. All right, at this point, you're under oath. And Mayor, I think you can open it, and now we've got our people.
Fantastic, thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
With that, do I have a motion to open this quasi judicial hearing related to the special use permit for this River Oak Townhome project?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We've got a quasi judicial hearing.
Right. All right, so it's a similar request to the one we just dealt with, but this project does predate me. This applicant has been working towards this goal for quite some time. The property was rezoned, I believe, in 2022 to TR. They met the acreage requirements to have townhomes and multifamily development built on the property, so they meet the criteria there. And going forward, they then applied in due faith for the special use permit earlier this year, back in May. I've been working closely with the applicant. It is going to be a, 17 acre, 17 acre, or a little under 17 acre property with 100 townhomes on the property, is their objective here. The applicants have been working towards their stormwater permits from DEQ upon last speaking with them. This property, if you'll note on the staff report on page 46, on page 67, 68, and 69 of the future land use plan, it defines many of the different map categories. Page 68 defines high density as the following. High density residential is a category that allows for multifamily residential housing, such as apartments and townhomes. Select locations in town have been identified for this use primarily in areas with existing multifamily residential complexes. So currently that property, or in the land use plan, that property shows up as medium density, but it was already rezoned. So, you know, we want to stick with the land use plan as close as we can, but, you know, it is a guiding document. It is not necessarily what we have to go by. We want to stick to it. It's also worth noting that looking at the site plan, that all the appropriate setbacks are met, the maximum impervious surface is not exceeded, and the density is within the appropriate amount for a tract of that size, being around 16.5 acres. The project also meets the required amount of appropriate open space for a multifamily development. And if you see on the staff report there on page 47, you'll see they have this open area in the middle of the complex. It's around an acre of open space. They plan to have a gazebo, a gathering area for all the residents of the complex. Let's see.
Letter you got.
Oh, yes, thank you, Chip. I also received a email from an abutting landowner. This is from a Mr. Anthony Johnson.
There we go.
I got you.
So I received this letter and this email from a Mr. Anthony Johnson of Anran Properties. He owns the property directly behind this future site. It's also another townhome complex. I believe Chip also received this letter. He wanted me to read it on his behalf since he couldn't make it tonight. To whom it may concern, we are unable to attend tonight's meeting due to other obligations. This letter has been sent to the Selma Town Attorney, Chip Hewitt, and Planning Director, Micah Woodard. With confidence, it will be read at this meeting. We are the property owners, Anran Partnership, Partial ID 140-540-15E, to the rear of this proposed development. Our townhomes were built in 1992 and are referred to as the River Oak Apartments. The proposed name for the new development is River Oak Townhomes. We feel this is a problem. There cannot be two separate properties that close with names this similar. This would create problems particularly for 911 addresses, especially in an emergency because of such name similarity. I have attached several images referring to us as River Oak Apartments, and our paved street is River Oak Drive. With all due respect, we are requesting this development be renamed something new and different they come up with instead of reusing our name. And I had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Johnson. He didn't have a problem with the project itself, just the name.
And just to be clear, as part of the record, we're not taking up names in this conversation. Let's make sure we're clear.
But all that said, the project has been sent out to our TRC, Technical Review Committee. It has received preliminary approvals from Water and Sewer, Electric, Fire, Public Works. Everything appears to be permissible. That's all
Thank you. Do you have anybody else who'd like to speak as part of the?
Mayor, before we shift, just for the record,
Yes, sir.
we'll receive in the evidence, pages 32 to 52, which consist of exactly what's in the agenda, as well as the documents received from Mr. Anthony Johnston, as well as the testimony from Micah. So at this point, that's where we are, and we'll turn it over to the applicant. And this is the 4 findings of fact, if you recall. The burden of proof is on the applicant to find it by substantial material competent evidence as to the 4 findings of fact. And that's on pages 34 and 35 of your agenda.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Hewitt. After you.
Good evening, my name is Mike Stewart, I'm the engineer for Stewart Proctor Engineering and Surveying here representing the project. I would say that naming a project is above my pay grade, and we'll be glad to make an appropriate name that's unique to the area, and will probably involve the builder who plans on putting the homes there. They tend to have a pretty good input in what they would like for something to be called, so we do not have a problem with the neighbor's request. Again, we've carried the project through. We've done the plans. We've turned it in for submittal to make sure that we were within all the guidelines of the town and the state at this point. And I'm really here to answer any questions if you might have some.
Council? No questions?
Thank you.
Any additional information, documents you'd like to present to council to add to the evidence, or you're good with what they have?
I think I'm good with what they have. We did receive, yesterday, I believe, that DOT had granted the encroachment for the utility. That would be the only other additional information.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else who'd like to speak or needs to address anything as part of this quasi judicial hearing related to this special use permit? Yeah.
Mayor, we can close it, take deliberation your way, and proceed with the 4 findings of fact.
Excellent.
Already.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to close this quasi judicial hearing related to this special use permit for this project tagged 14054-014R?
So moved. Second.
We'll give that second to Councilwoman Whitley. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now we have 4 findings of fact to look at. This first finding of fact, the development will not endanger the public health or safety. Do I have a motion that we agree with that finding of fact, that this will not develop or endanger the public health or safety?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion there? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have a second finding of fact. The development will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property. Do I have a motion that we agree that the development will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property?
So moved.
Second.
I've got a little discussion there. The abutting property happen to be townhomes, apartments, so it seems to fit in very well. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, number 3. The development will be in harmony with the area in which it is located. Do we agree with that statement?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 4, the development will be in general conformity with the future land use plan, thoroughfare plan, or other plan specifically adopted by the town council. Do I have a motion that we agree with that statement?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Overby. Little discussion there. It is our desire to see a little more density going east, Selma. So into our industrial areas, we expect to see more density, and then going toward the south, as opposed to that conversation about going north with our density. So Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any need to clarify that there's no, will not endanger the public safety or health after the name change? Because I can see where it could be a problem if we're the same name for the EMS. Do we need to clarify that, or is that
No, and in fact, I
kind of
think
understood?
as far as understanding,
Okay,
the fire marshal's department in Johnson County would take care of that conversation.
Okay.
But for our purposes.
we're done, okay.
So we got the motion, the second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we do agree with those 4 findings of fact. Do you need anything else from us?
We do, Mayor. In that all 4 findings of fact were voted in the affirmative and council approved it. We need a motion from council to approve the special use permit for this parcel in its entirety.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Got a special use permit. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right. Ooh, do we have any more business in this agenda today?
Gotta come out of, don't we have to come out? When we have to come out?
Oh, no, we already, good to go. So
Okay.
we just went to the findings of fact.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Good to go. Thank you. Do we have anything as far as the town attorney's report for
No, sir.
Cool. We'll cruise around the table with council members' report and recommendations. And Councilman Overby's got a very special piece for us. So I would like to take a point of privilege and ask him to start.
So we've been saying the Pledge of Allegiance for a long time, but I wanted to take the time to actually cite the Pledge of Allegiance and define each word that's inside of the Pledge of Allegiance. Remember that the Pledge of Allegiance was written in 1892. It's 132 years ago. And our town was chartered in 1873. So I'll start with I. That's me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, or our standard, O glory, a symbol of freedom, and wherever she waves there is respect, because your loyalty has given her dignity to shout, freedom is everybody's job. Of the united, that means we all have to come together. States, individual communities that have united in 48 states, 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided by boundaries. Yet we unite to a common cause that loves this country of America and the Republic. A republic is a sovereign state in which power is invested into the representatives chosen by the people of the government, and the government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not the leaders to the people. For which it stands, one nation, meaning, so God bless us. Individual. This is incapable of being divided with liberty, with this which is freedom, the right of the power of one to live his own life without fear, threat, or any kind of retaliation and justice. The principle and the quality of dealing fair with others, for all. For all, that means boys, girls, and it is as much your country as it is mine. Now, since I was a little boy, there's been 2 states been added. That's Alaska, the 49th state that was added in January 3rd of 1959, and Hawaii, the 50th state, which was added in August the 21st of 1959. And also 2 words have been added since it was written, under God. Now, wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that's a prayer and it will eliminate it from the schools? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Will.
Good evening. I just want to again thank everyone that comes to our meetings. It's important. And I also want to thank, I was sitting here thinking about Jeannie when she spoke. We've served on the planning board for years. And it's good to have that knowledge and to come to these meetings and to speak and bring your knowledge to all of us. And that really brought it home to me, and I appreciate that. You learn a lot when you're on these boards and committees, and you can really see where the town's going. You can see these maps in your head, and I won't go any further, but again, I do appreciate everybody coming tonight, and thank you.
Councilman Watson.
I think, the thing that strikes me sometimes about being here and sitting on this council are the things that come before us. And I thought about tonight with Alex coming in, you know, addiction, knows no boundaries, and it doesn't discriminate. It's good families, it's poor families, it's black, it's white, it's everywhere. And how brave he must have been to enroll and to succeed. And that's one of the happier things for me about being here, sitting here and watching people change and grow. That was a blessing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I don't have much to say tonight. I just thank everybody for coming out. But about the Alex and all that, we went to that, like I said, that meeting a year and a half ago. They guys gave a good presentation and showed all those guys that was in that program. They were doing this serving and cooked all the food. And he was saying then, we're trying to find a place in Johnson County to do this, because there was nowhere around here. Then when you see something like this happen, you hear about it, then you say, here tonight, here it was in front of our eyes. You got the dream, and you got to have hope. You got to have people that are going to go out there and try to do things for this nation. And when it comes to fruition, you look around, you see, you say, hey, you know, what went on? But God gave that guy the hope to bring this place to Johnson County and to Selma. Who was it? But God. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Do for your country, pledge without self-pity. With that, I did say that we would add to my report recommendations. We have a request to take up from Walker's Treasure Box. So if you would come on up to the microphone, we do want you to have an opportunity to make your request.
Good evening, Town Council, and I thank you for allowing me to speak about this again this month. I'm sure you don't want me to go over all the little details I went through last month, so I'm just going to go through some bullet points. November 2023, pipes in my alley were replaced for the main line. The clay pipes had deteriorated. Mr. McAllister stated it was not the town of Selma's responsibility. He then sent a text that we still have with these words. It is unlikely the town of Selma has ownership of the area where pictures have been taken. Since that area is currently being dug up for sewer repairs, it's likely owned by your neighbor. So I contacted my neighbor and we pulled her survey. She does not own that property. Mr. McAllister also stated in the text that if we do find documentation clarifying actual property rights, we will figure out what needs to be done from there. Well, in July of 2024, the survey sent to us by Chief McDaniel shows town of Selma property. What I'm asking you today, town of Selma Council, is do the right thing and give me my money back. Last week, I spoke to State Representative Larry Strickland, who confirmed to me that town of Selma has received nearly $30 million in grant money for pipes. If you're unwilling, you're unable to just take the mere $3,000 that I began doing the pipes in the back, then we ask you to just deed the property to us, and then I will be responsible for the pipes at all times. And when the buildings next to me are being built, since it is the main line, they can come to me and pay me to do their pipes. But actually, what I'm really asking for you to do is really make the right decision here and make an honest decision. So I'm asking you this, the town council, to do the right thing.
Thank you for that request. Do we have any information further that shows that any of that property in question is actually belongs to the town of Selma?
Yeah, the survey is Eastman area, Ms. Walker's referring to. And it shows a little block there that says Town of Selma. So there's a little small piece the town owns that's there beside, Ron Hester's property. So it doesn't say Town of Selma, the whole area, it's a little block there. I think that is confusing, but, we have spoken, and I think we were authorized to do this. We were proceeding with Mr. Ball to go ahead and survey the area. Because what he did was he surveyed an area for its easement location, and it's not a true survey of the property boundaries. So he's only got, and he surveyed most of it anyway in the past. So he's gonna have a survey of the block of the internal part that he's gonna bring back to the town, hopefully by October, by next month.
Absolutely. And so what I would say to your request is until we actually have a survey that is made specifically for the property lines, and again, even off the rough survey that we are looking at, it doesn't appear that our Town of Silver property goes all the way over to those buildings. Once we get an accurate survey, we can further flesh out this conversation, but until we have that information in hand, it would be, quite frankly, irresponsible for the Town of Selma to hand over money related to property that we cannot confirm that we own.
Mr. Ball stated that he should be filed
October 11th. With that being said, fiscal responsibility is our number one duty. So we do have to make sure that we have the appropriate evidence to ensure that that is our property or ensure that it is not our property. And with that, we are going to take the leap. We are paying for the survey to get that properly done. The Town of Selma certainly wants to explore this clearly. So we are paying for the survey of that entire alley to figure out who owns what property. And then we've also made the step of offering to take an easement for that line as well for all the property owners. So once we get that information back about the actual property lines, we're also going to take a further step to develop an easement, a utility easement to work on that line, because we do understand the burden that that can cause a line of that size going past so many properties, the burden that that can create for property owners. So we are going to take those steps to see where the Town of Selma can help in that particular instance. But until we have all the facts in hand, we certainly cannot make any moves related to your request. So
I have a question. I look at this like I do any main line in town. So in front of my house, there's a main line. I'm responsible for everything from the main line back to my house, correct? So in a downtown where you have buildings that belong to different people, Mr. Precy and whoever that started all this place, there was a main line put in. So would that not be the town's responsibility if it's a main line? I'm not taking a side. I'm just saying, for me, I want to do the right thing.
Our stance has been, that we should have an easement for anything, a public street, like you did in front of your house, public street centers, automatically. But, I don't know what happened 50, 60, 80, 100 years ago. I don't know how long it was, but we do know that there was never an easement, granted for that out. That is not a public thing. It's owned by several different, property owners.
And Chief McDaniel, let me answer that question more clearly. So in neighborhood, if you have say a trailer park home that's been developed,
Right.
and they run a line across that trailer park home, that is all private property. That line that runs across those trailer parks belongs to whoever owns that trailer park initially. If they decide to divide those lots and sell them off as separate lines, and you still have that same line running there, the line gets divided with the property, and there's still not necessarily an easement related to those lines. So that line, no telling who put it in or how it was put in, but from the get-go, it was understood that that line was part of the properties that are related to those buildings there. So for instance, in front of my house, was a clay pipe until we dug it up, that looked like Town of Selma work going all the way up to my house. But by today's standards and by me owning that property, that pipe is mine all the way up to the actual road where the actual road easement is. So there is no road easement going down that alley right now. That's what we're looking to get. But the main line that we have ownership for is actually in the road once you get outside of the alley.
And I guess my question is, though, when this town was built years ago, was there such thing as an easement? Or was it just understood that that pipe belonged to the town and they were responsible for those repairs? You know, obvious to me that people that are hooked on to that main line are not responsible for that main line. And, you know, I just want to make sure that we're right in what we're doing, because
I'll add to your question. And so, do you know that whoever built those buildings initially didn't own all four of the buildings? They put that line in themselves and they connected to the road of the town center.
I know that the people that, they want four buildings owned by the same person.
Mhm.
They want any of these four buildings owned by the same person.
We know that it's fact.
I do. I was here.
They're not owned by the same person.
No, they're not.
No, not currently, but I'm saying when they were built,
No,
we don't.
I wouldn't think so either.
no.
Just in the history standpoint.
So my question to us then is, where's the paperwork for us to show who did what? Because when do we know those buildings were built?
Yeah, I mean, years and years and years ago.
So
But
again,
I think what I'm getting at is when a town is established,
Mhm.
there has to be some kind of, I would think, governing body that handles the main lines just like there is now.
well, what I'm
So-
saying to you is, I don't think we can consider that a main line. That might have been a line that, quite frankly, a property owner or property owners put in of their own volition. Could have been. We have no idea. So for instance, we have a conversation about drainage ditches right now. So there's a large drainage ditch on South Webb Street that clearly runs out to the railroad tracks. And it's clearly a main drainage ditch going out to the railroad tracks for east Selma, or southeast Selma. We do not have any easement on that drainage ditch whatsoever. We are seeking to get an easement on that drainage ditch. But right now, if we were to go on these people's property and start digging up on their property without an easement, we are getting ourselves in legal jeopardy. That's the same thing here. It's not a matter of how we feel about it. It's a matter of legally, we have nothing to say that we can walk back there and work on those spots.
So if people from the water department from 30 years ago were to tell us that that line has always been the responsibility of the town, you wouldn't take that either.
Absolutely not, because we've had a lot of people tell us, in fact, we found out that a previous town employee was cutting property that was in the ETJ of our community and said, hey, we've just been doing that forever.
So,
You're not with the business owners. I mean, why are you against all the business owners? I don't understand that.
Mr. Walker, you're not in this part of the conversation right now.
Well, I am, and I will be.
So with that being said, same thing with people's right of ways. We've had a lot of people that we've had our staff going and cutting their right of ways in front of their houses because that's just what they've always done. And clearly, if somebody were to come from the town of Selma and start cutting my front yard, I'd be like, what is going on? We can't cut everybody's right of way. So it might be that, and of course with this pipe, I don't think we've ever worked on it, but there's a lot of instances where staff in the past has done things that we should not have done because it's just always what we have done. And that's something we have got to get away from as a town, because not only does it give us legal jeopardy, but if everybody says, well, you're doing it for them, why aren't you doing it for us? Then we get ourselves into a real problem.
I mean, is it simple as it, I'm sorry,
let's
William,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I mean, whose property is it? If it's your property, I think your equals ownership equals your problem. I mean, am I thinking, I mean, it's, if it's your property, it's your property.
It's the same conversation we've had with the trailer park owners, again, around, Miss Kelly even, you know, we've made it clear that all the pipes in those trailer parks are the property of the trailer park owner. We don't have easements in those trailer parks at all, so those main pipes going through the trailer parks. Do we have an easement going through? We'll have to look into that. But as far as we know, we don't have any easements going through those properties, so that those aren't our pipes to dig up. And with that being said, again, legal jeopardy for us. So if we do something on those private property that gets us into any type of legal jeopardy, we wouldn't have a leg to stand on because we went on somebody's private property and started doing things that we should not do.
Go ahead.
So let me ask the question. This alley between the two buildings, who owns that now?
Which alley?
Right between this building and that?
The folks that have the building on the end here. Who's that? Lincoln Properties, they own that.
So where's does this building here sewage tie in at?
Right out here. I think this building goes to the front of her building.
Yeah, we don't own that property.
Cause I know whenever the, used to be court here, this was used, this alley was used very much by
As far as for what now?
bringing people in.
It's just,
Oh, just walking. Yeah, yeah.
All right, and also for bringing prisoners in for the court.
let me, all the businesses that are connected to sewer have been offered an easement. I think it's been made very clear that we want to work on that. We feel like it's an integral part of our sewer system, but we don't have it. Two owners come back and said they would like to see that full survey. That's why we're doing it. 3 owners have signed it. One said, I said, hey, got, folks don't want to sign it, so he's held up out our property. So, just to be clear, we have offered that. Now we're going another step to do a full survey. And if those offers, that, if anybody will sign it, right now, we have a easement, 3 property owners, that we could work on that property. They just happen to be on the far end of the alley, just because of where their property is.
And bear in mind, Duke Power already has a clear easement all the way through the alley. And of course, they would not come on that property unless they had an easement to do the work on their lots. Because they would not be silly enough to do such.
Just to be clear, as soon as we were to get the easement granted, the next day, something happened to that line, take care of it.
So if property owners don't have an easement, then what are we talking, I mean,
We're in the same place you are now.
yeah, what are we talking about?
We just cannot, and then let me make this clear for everybody. When we're having conversations about trash and we're having conversations about how we should clean up Selma and what we used to do, we cannot do things the way we used to do. Because we saw where that got us.
Just doesn't make sense to me, though, that each business owner would put in their own section of a main line.
Well,
It seems to me that
again,
the
a
main
hundred,
line would belong to the town and people would tie into
100
it. I
years
just
ago,
don't-
there's no idea what they could have done as far as building this town. There's no idea what type of handshake was had to put the pipes in line. I couldn't begin to tell you what they were doing when they actually built these buildings. I don't think any of us really know what happened.
Well, I
when
agree
they
with
did
that, but I also think that our job is to help the citizens of the town, and if we've gotten $30 million to replace clay pipes that are imploding all over the town, that, not just the walkers, but everybody in that alley needs to have that pipe replaced. It is part of our system, and we need it.
So if every homeowner came to us, like when my clay pipe outside of my house collapsed, would we say we've got money to replace your clay pipe?
From in front of your house that belongs to the town, yes, but from that pipe back is yours. So the way I've always understood it.
So from
that
where we have,
main line
you
down
said,
the
so
road.
from where we have an easement, we could replace.
Yeah, but if you're getting at the easement argument, then I think to me, it's just obvious that it was always maintained by the town, that pipe. I actually have had a conversation with somebody who worked for the town for a lot of years, and I said, let me ask you about this, and he said, yeah, because that's obvious, that's the town's pipe.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know, I think we need to, if we've got money to repair and to help our town, we need that connection. And maybe you need to get the easement placed, but I really think that that's the right thing to do, is to fix
I
the pipe.
do agree we need to get the easement in place, and that's really the bottom line.
Yeah.
We need to get the easement in place.
Well, I say when we get the easement in place, then we pay the walkers their money back and we fix the pipe.
Now, that's a leap where I think we're too far. By all means.
This is above and beyond.
That is above and beyond.
Yes, it is.
Hi, Board. I'm hoping I can clarify a couple of different things. We're not saying no, we can't give the walkers their money. Our question is, we have to have evidence in place proving the town of Selma owns this property before we can pay them. We've received this grant money, which we are obviously willing to increase our infrastructure. It's something we need to do for the town. We can get in a lot of trouble spending that money on private property. We have to have the evidence in place, and the legislative is not going to take someone's word, unfortunately. There are a lot of hoops we have to jump through to get this to prove we're spending it in the proper places. I 100% agree. If this is town of Selma property, we have to reimburse it. If it's not, we absolutely cannot. So it's a matter of finding the evidence. We need to get the survey done, completed, prove it, and then we can take the next step.
So how far back will the research on the property go?
Once this survey comes up, we'll have an answer for it.
It's the current service.
Because
Yes.
my understanding is that that property was town maintained, the alleyway, for years and years and years, and they for some reason got tired of messing with it, keeping it up, so they sectioned it off to the people outside their door with the understanding they could always come in and work on that
So,
pipe.
to Samantha's point, if,
I get
when
it.
the work was done, it was not currently our property, we can't mess with it.
Yes, so at the date that the work was done.
Survey that was sent to me by Chief McDaniel was a false survey. We're trying to get me to sign it over an easement when the survey is not accurate.
I don't even know the answer to that question.
No, it's showing the easement line. When you look at it, it goes from point A to point B. And the purpose of that survey is showing you the easement line. It's not representing any ownership. You're saying the easement's gonna be in this area.
Yeah.
So the property owners will be saying it's okay to do. No, it's accurate.
It's accurate for
Very
what we were
comfortable
looking for.
doing exactly.
Mr. Ball did a great job for what we were looking for at that point.
Yeah.
And you know, I must admit, those surveys can be incredibly confusing, so I understand the
More
confusion.
extensive than the.
He's going from an easement survey to a boundary survey.
Yeah. You know, this reminds me of a situation that Clayton has run into. Clayton ran into receiving money for a building in Clayton that they were supposed to help clean up, but because of the way it was worded by the legislature when they got the money, it had to be used for Clayton town property. So they could not do the thing they actually wanted to do because the legislature had worded it clearly that it had to be used for Clayton town property. So again, when we talk about legislative, when we talk about town funds totally, the legality is what we have to look at. And again, we get ourselves in legal trouble if we go outside of those bounds.
Councilwoman Watson, did that help clarify a little bit about the money we received from the
Yeah,
grants?
I am very well aware of those kind of
Yeah.
things. I appreciate it though, yeah.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
just,
I worry about the history because Selma is a small town and we've always done things. And I think Chip can attest to this, that it's been Joe Price and Joe Moore and, you know, yeah, we'll need this job, but if we need to get back here and work on this pipe, blah, blah, blah. So I've been here all my life, so
Yeah.
I can see how that probably happened. So I just want to make sure we do the right thing, not just by the Walkers, but by anybody in the town that has these clay pipes that are obviously collapsing everywhere.
yes, and everything we do has to be for a public purpose, and if we
Right.
do this one situation for Walkers and prove that this is town of Selma property, we will reimburse them 110%. Anyone else, we would prove it and reimburse them as well. It's not a situation of person versus person. We are doing the exact same thing across the board for everyone. But it has to be town of Selma, and the legislative is gonna ask me for proof and documentation for what we're spending the money on. And that's why we have to have documentation and can't just go by
And what department does that, do you have to report to?
the treasury and DWI.
Okay.
But we got to remember though, like I say, the facts are the facts.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you for hearing.
Facts are the facts.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions related to that?
Quick question. If it's not town, how do you trucks and stuff, put cameras up, poles in the alleyway, put their trash cans back?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that spot right over the trash can. That's noted on the GIS. It's a small spot right there.
Do we have any other questions?
Cleared up a little better.
Yeah, once we get the survey that
Yeah,
actually shows the
survey would
property
have
lines, that'll answer all of our questions.
I mean, I think they're all legitimate questions. It's a discussion we needed to have. So.
Like you said, everybody's can have your own opinion, but the facts are the facts, and it's all. The facts are the facts. Once the facts come in, that's it. We'll know what's what.
All right. Well, with that being said, pledge without self-pity. The interest of all versus the interest of the individual. That's something that I'm going to say over and over again as it comes to the town of Selma. The interest of all. So everything we do has to be for the interest of all. If we do it for one, we have to do it for all. And that is something that we've got to stick to, because you're right, in the past, I would say we didn't stick to that. I would say that we put ourselves in a situation to, quite frankly, get Selma in trouble. And it showed. I remember what Selma looked like 7 years ago. I was here. We have made a concerted effort to do it correct in the town of Selma. I got to brag about electric again, and it makes me mad because every time he grins, I'm like, Power outage happens a couple of weeks ago, and power's out for what, about 3 hours? Methodically, our electric department went through and kind of figured out what was going on. Found a little branch on a line, and the first thing Shook says to me is, that's a tiny branch to be causing a power outage like that. And this man, I could tell his brain was spinning. What's going on? 5 days later, 6 days later, power goes out again. So, first thing I learned, it's very awkward to have the power go out while you're sitting in a housing authority meeting. Sorry about that. But we also said that when it happened, they were going to give me a call, and I wanted to see what was going on and what we had in place to figure this out. We had the electric staff looking through the line that this was supposedly all connected to. We had fire out looking at the lines. We had police looking at the lines. And your power was only out for about 39 minutes.
I don't think it was that long.
Hey, I might be giving a few extra minutes. I apologize.
A lot.
But the reason that happened is because there was a plan to figure it out quickly. And that understanding of what had happened last time, that something wasn't right, after the power came back on, this man kept working to isolate. I'm sorry. You see, that's leadership right there. That's leadership right there. That electric department kept working to figure out what was causing such a little thing to cause such a big problem. And it was a software issue with one of our switches. Yeah, the internal set. Yeah.
When you like to clean something happens, that's a squirrel bind or a stick gets burned up and it falls and the lights go back on. That didn't happen. We knew that was a problem. We're all sitting there and the power went out and it didn't blink. So red flag for all of us that stuff was working like it.
Red flag. And it took them 30-some minutes to sort it out. And we won't run into that red flag again anytime soon, I imagine. Maybe a different red flag, because we still have an infrastructure to look at. But with that being said, forward thinking, when Congressman Nickel came to us and said, hey, what do you need? George said, I got something. We have put in a request for about $1.5 million. 1.3. I'm extrapolating, I'm sorry. Yeah. To upgrade our electric infrastructure to mitigate those exact problems. Now, of course, federal government, local government, we're a little slow to get all that stuff in, but we're already on it to make sure that not only we have an infrastructure that is prepared for now, but prepared for deep into the future. That's the conversations we're having with our police department, our fire department, finance, our clerk's office. How do we get prepared for the future that we know is coming as you look across the street and see a large shopping center coming to the town of Selma? As we talk about townhomes coming by the hundreds to the town of Selma, and the houses and the communities around us that are definitely coming around the town of Selma. And we're doing it without the self-interest. We're doing it for the interest of all, to be prepared for our future, so that the kids who probably just finished playing soccer about an hour ago are going to be proud to stay in the town of Selma. with that being said, I think we got a couple of closed session items to discuss.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Member of the record, subsection 3, to discuss, give instructions to the attorney, and under 6 for personnel.
Okay,